Hyman, as my old headmaster used to call me.
What?
Yeah.
So couldn't speak?
No, he just used to call me Mr. Hyman. I know. The 80s were different, man.
Close the bonnet
And go, ta-da!
and then just be like, hello!
Yeah, no.
Well done.
You go first.
I think that's an awesome idea. You won't get out of it at the moment, however.
Welcome.
Good evening, good afternoon,
Good evening, good night.
good night. I'm Al, this is Stu. There's another Stu, but he's not here.
He never is.
Never is. But he was here once. And he was there at the inception of this.
He was there at the inception or conception of the idea.
No, not the conception. Anyhow, so what are we doing, Stu?
It was, what was it? It was Melbourne Cup Day, 2019.
Yep.
In the kitchen at our house.
With a very smoky,
Very, very smoky
single
scotch.
malt there, yeah.
Where we conceived the idea that we were going to do some endurance racing and decided after a very short conversation to do 3 endurance events that were to be hosted next year by Motor Events.
Yeah, 2020, there's a Queensland, there's a New South Wales and a Victorian race.
Correct. We then went through the process of arguing about which car we were going to do it in. Because it's an endurance event, we wanted something that was going to be light, something that was going to be reliable, and also something that was going to be relatively cheap to build a project car out of for content for you all on Race Magazine and on our YouTube channel as well. So we went through some options and we decided that a Mirage with a Lancer 2.4 litre engine swap was the way to go.
There was lots of ums and ahs. We were talking about what was it, the FTO motor in there as well as a V6 option.
Yep.
But yeah, for simplicity, for reliability, for ease of parts and keeping it budget friendly. Yeah, the Mirage motor, the Mirage with the Lancer motor is the way to go.
So then we started hunting around on Facebook Marketplace as you do and just having a look at the dollars behind it all. And we found this little beauty down in Phillip Island in Victoria for a whopping $350 as a complete car. And we went down there and met with a man with a fake name, a very lovely gentleman who'd been using it to get to and from the surf when he was surfing, and we made a deal with him and picked it up from him.
Make it sound ominous when you say you had a fake name. Like he was in
it was good reason.
He was in education, so like they don't tend to use their real names. But it wasn't really $350 though, was it?
Yeah.
It was like $346 or something. Because we found.
Oh, the change.
We found lots of small
we'll
change.
go into that. As with every car that you buy, it always gets cheaper when you start pulling it apart and find the years and years worth of coins have been dropped into the car. So yeah, we're down to about $346 for this bad boy. So
some of the coins aren't current though. There's a couple of pennies in there, I think.
I'm not sure they were pennies. I think they were 1 and 2 cent pieces. But yes, they were not valid.
They're not legal tender.
No, not legal tender. Yeah. And then we had a look around again on Marketplace and managed to find a donor Lancer for this.
The VRX. With the VRX.
The VRX option, so the 2.4 litre motor, which we have already stripped and has already gone to God, or wherever it is that cars go, the racing gods in the sky.
Said motor and gearbox just over this side. Ooh. Looks kind of clean over there.
So there's an episode, or you would have seen on the preview that there was, or the teaser episode that we put up, some rapid footage of us pulling the engine and gearbox out of that car, because we are doing it in a workshop, and I know there'll be people out there who'll say, it's not home built because you're doing it at a workshop. It's an advantage that we've got, and we don't like crawling around on the ground, so we're using it. If you can, great. If you can't, then bad luck.
And my garage is full of shit.
Yeah, my garage is full of shit as well, but full of other projects. We pulled that out because we couldn't have too many dead cars sitting around in the workshop because it is a functioning workshop 7 days a week, so we had to get that done. The car that we got it from was involved in an accident. The right-hand front corner of it was stuffed, but the motor was great, and so we were able to pull that out with the wiring loom. Because a lot of the cars, items are just transferable, which was the other great thing about this project. So to put the 2.4 litre motor into this car, we literally need 1 engine mount out of an Evo 4, 5 or 6, which we ordered from Repco off the shelf with new engine mounts for the standard Mirage 1.5 litre engine mounts. straight off the shelf from Repco, and that's all we need to put the motor into the car with some bits and pieces from the wiring loom. So
And the drive shafts as well from the Lancer.
drive shafts too, yeah. So with a little bit of history about what we're going to, not history because that's what happened in the past, but with a little bit of a plan about what we're going to do to the car. But we're lucky enough that one of the guys that we work with is a Mitsubishi enthusiast, and so he's hooked us up with some pretty good information about what we can do to convert this relatively cheaply. So things like running a Magna front caliper with, believe it or not, a BMW Mini, so it's not a real Mini, but a BMW Mini front disc. To upgrade the front brakes to a much larger rotor and much better caliper, stuff like that. We're going to do, again, keeping the cost down, keeping it with readily available parts so that we can get into car racing on a low budget. What about your background?
My background?
Other than the fact that you are a
Other than that?
but you're from Liverpool, so that's all good.
Yeah, that's right. Go the Reds.
Absolutely, go the Reds. On top of the table.
My background, well, started with you a few years ago. Good few years ago now. But yeah, it's been mechanical for 8 years now, 9 years. Kind of lost count, to be honest. Been, mostly with tyre shops, but done some really good mechanical and tuning work recently.
You're qualified now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, which certainly helps. Like busting knuckles, cuts and bruises. I've got the bit mitts on, so I'm not getting too dirty tonight. Looking forward to getting into it and stripping it down and building it up.
Yeah. So my background's the same. So I'm a qualified mechanic of about 11 years now. I also race in improved production, allegedly. So and raced Tiranas before that. So we've built a fair few race cars. So that's the sort of experience that I'm bringing to the table. There's one other member of the working team on the vehicle, other than some guests who'll drop in and out, which is, as Al mentioned, the other Stu, who is not a qualified mechanic. He's just a garagista, as Mr. Ferrari used to call him. He just works at home on a car that never is finished, like all of us.
He's also got a garage full of shit.
Also, garage full of shit, including... Hey, there's our pepperoni pizza. Bring it back. The Web Street.
We digress.
Anyway. But yeah, so he's also heavily involved in cars. So he's got an RX-7 that he's building for improved production as well. He's got a Beetle that he's putting a Subaru motor into. So you'll get to meet him at time to time. He's actually at his work Christmas party, allegedly, tonight, and not in the bill. But he's, in all seriousness, he's recovering from a bike accident. So he's
broken ribs
and stuff like that.
Chip vertebrae, shit like that. He's going to be on form for the endurance racing.
Not all that useful. And there's two other members of the driving team, because we have to have a minimum of 4 people to race. One is Alan, my father, who has been racing for about the same period of time as me and still races in the historics. And my sister, Al's wife, Katrina, who will be starting from scratch, first time racing, same as you, first time racer. So again, the idea of the build was, let's get into something that's easy for people who are racing for the first time to get started in. So the car's pretty forgiving. It's a good way to learn to drive. It's not going to be overpowered. It's not going to be overbraked. So, we won't be trying to compete for sheep station, so to say, but we are still trying to finish and win, which is part, again, of the strategy of why we're building this car.
I think there's 4 different categories, is that right?
Yeah, so engine output based on the original output of the vehicle.
At least of the motor.
Of the motor in the vehicle, yeah. And the vehicle itself had to have a red book value of less than $5,000, so we were clearly okay with this one.
You can spend as much stupid money if you wanted to, but we're trying not to.
Try to keep it as low as we can. And then we get to spend
like 5 points on upgrading certain aspects of the car, whether it's improving suspension or braking, tyres as well.
Yep.
There's a few different components like that.
So we've decided we don't get penalised at all for the engine swap. We've decided we're going to spend 2 points on suspension doing coilovers and height adjustment. We're going to spend another 2 points on the braking upgrade.
Yep.
And then we have 1 point to spend on tyres. We're going to run the Bridgestone Potenza Adrenaline RE003. The tyre points is based on the wear index of the tyre. So anything less than 200 wear index, closer to 0, is you get penalised 2 points. So that's like running an ultra soft tyre.
Super sticky, like really good traction, but
fortunately, see you race. Fortunately, Bridgestone has a 250 tread wear index, so we're able to run those without copping any penalties. So reasonably priced in this size as well, so it's going to keep the cost down, because obviously doing long format races, of which there's one 8-hour, one 6-hour race across 2 days, we need something that's going to be relatively economical, because we will go through them. And our focus here definitely is on weight reduction.
Yeah.
So weight reduction and keeping the power the same.
So keeping it light and keeping it reliable. You don't get any points if you don't finish. So obviously the further up you finish, then the better we go.
Do you want to run through the class banding for power for the motors?
I can't remember the exact details. I know we're in the bottom category, so up to 125 kilowatt towards the top of it, which is good. Next band up is like 125 to like 180-ish or something like that. And then there's like 180 plus. You said you weren't going to get into it. Fuck you! Smells like a microwave.
How long after that did it arrive?
What, an hour?
Anyway, that's alright.
Back onto it. Then like 125 to about 190-ish or something like that. Can't remember the numbers off the top of my head. And then there's Group 3, which is 190 plus. And then there's also the Outlaw category. So those that have not adhered to the only using 5 points of upgrades. So they might have put turbos, supercharged this, and all the brakes, and this, that, and the other. And they're going to have a blast and go zipping around in next to no time.
And they can't win. They actually can't win the trophy.
Okay, right.
So, it's designed to keep it at a grassroots level.
Yeah. You don't want some
so you're welcome to race.
A supercar can turn up and go
turning
zip
up in a
around.
V8 supercar because it's in the power band.
Going, yay, look, I won!
Which is a good thing about it. So, and look, to be honest, the rules are a little bit open in that we contacted the people organising the event, and it's a little bit loose on their interpretation of what's an outlaw and what's not an outlaw. So, you know, we're bearing in mind that we don't want to turn up at the event and be told, even though we've kept to the 5 points, that we're in the outlaw category because we've gone too far. So everything we're doing is within reason. Like, we're not, you know, spending $1 million on the car and going outside of those point parameters because we don't want to end up in the outlaw category. Our idea was very much about reliability, easy to service, reasonably good on fuel consumption, so that we're saving time in pit stops, not changing tyres too often, and making sure that it's serviceable so that when we do the short race on the Saturday, which is short, it's 6 hours, and then the long race on the Sunday, that it's easy for us to service the car overnight because we'll be doing it within our team. With the Race Magazine page, we've been lucky enough to have a whole heap more people follow the page recently, and with the YouTube channel we've just started, we'd really appreciate it if you jump across, if you are watching it on YouTube, and hit the subscribe button. So that we can get some good following, maybe get some commercial interest in the project as well. If you can, while we're at it, subscribe, that'd be really good, it'd be helpful.
Although you do have a bit of racing and race car building experience. I don't, I've got mechanical experience. I'd say our friend Stu Barnes, he's got some mechanical experience, but not a qualified mechanic. I think the race, the sort of ethos of the whole race event from motor events is that just trying to get people out and about to do something fun, minimum sort of budget, get out, do what they can with what they can to get out on the racetrack. You don't have to be the best qualified person in the world. They might just want to go out, stick some tyres on, some shocks or something like that on their car, and then go around and have some fun, see if they can get around the track. Yeah. And then maybe next time they upgrade something else.
Yeah. It may end up that we run it in a couple of improv events as well. So we sort of don't know beyond these 3 events what else we're going to do. Car's stripped and ready to go. So, you know, there's a lot of time that goes into obviously building the car. There's no question that stripping it's the quickest part of it. And we're down to the last bits and pieces. But obviously we're going to bring you episodes as we go along to update you on the project. So
the next major milestone I think is going to be the roll cage. Obviously the motor's out, so we can start working on that once we've got it ready. The cage is the thing that we can't control. Correct. So we have to send that out and get that in and get it back as soon as we can, and then once that's back, then we can start putting the motor in, trying to get the wiring sorted out, suspension, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's about it. We are planning on having a few people on the show as well. in terms of guests helping us work on the car as well. We're just lining a few of those people up now. Most of them will be grassroots motorsport people who are probably already racing up to state level, which is the core market of our followship. So that's definitely what we're aiming to do. So, we're going to try and get some interesting people on. So if there's anyone you'd like to see, we'll ask the question and see if they want to come on the show and help us with a particular aspect of the build. Certainly drop a comment below and see what we can do.
Sounds good.
That's it. So we will see you next week. Thanks very much for watching.